Lee with heaven on their mind.
And some folks who would probably just as soon be left alone.
But that ain't the way it were gonna be.
Ladies and gentlemen, there will now be a 15-minute intermission.
We'll be right back.
Your doggone measure, gonna get your fill. Sipping them drips, sipping them drips from a little bitty still. Your doggone measure, gonna get your fill. Sipping them drips from a little bitty still. Doing what I wanna do, I don't wanna do it this way. Got a little bitty cabin on a little bitty hill. Way out back there's a little bitty hill. Step a little bitty moment, and sip a little bitty swill. Trying to keep from falling off my little bitty hill. You doggone betcha, gonna get your fill. Sipping them crisps, sipping them crisps from a little bitty still. You doggone betcha, gonna get your fill. Sipping them crisps from a little bitty still. Doing what I wanna do, I don't wanna do it this way. Doing what I wanna do, when I wanna do it this way.
Good work, boys. We'll soon see who controls the drinking around here. Yeah. Y'all come back and we'll try a batch as soon as this rig is ready.
Thank you.
When McLaughlin found out about young Still, he knew he had a problem on his hands.
And he didn't want any of the problems that a new supply of liquor would bring to his territory, nor any competition. Period.
So when he got a chance,
Dr. McLaughlin sent a message to Mr. Young.
But the messenger has something else in mind. Pardon me. My name's Slakeland. Lieutenant William Slakeland. I was told I might find a Ewing Young at this establishment. Are you he?
Yes, sir, I am. What is that to you? Did McLaughlin send you down here to check up on me? Well, you can tell McLaughlin.
Excuse, I'm not one of McLaughlin's men.
You're not?
No, I'm with the United States Navy. President Jackson has asked me to obtain some information regarding the inhabitants of the country in the neighborhood of the Columbia River.
What's he want with that? Are you thirsty?
Yes. Thank you. Oh, yes. Now it's all beginning to make sense. You've become quite a topic of conversation around these parts.
I've been a topic of conversation ever since I come here. First for horse stealing, of which I might add I'm innocent. And now for my distillery. And I don't care what that old man says, he ain't running me off.
Mr. Young, it reminds me, I do have a message for you from Dr. McLaughlin.
I thought you said you had nothing to do with him.
I don't. Let's just say he found it convenient to use me to carry his message.
Yeah, well, what's he got to say?
Dr. McLaughlin has authorized me to say that if you would abandon your distillery project, he'll give you your supplies at Vancouver on the same terms as the other settlers.
Who does that man think he is? God?
I don't quite understand. Seems like a good proposition to me.
Well, it's not good enough for me. McLaughlin's a tyrant. No self-respecting American should have to endure that man's high-handed control of every man, woman, and cow from Yam Hill to Champoeg. If you're looking for facts to take back to Jackson, use that and you can quote me.
Thank you. But if you don't mind me asking, why don't you accept?
And do what? How would I make a living? I tried trapping. McLaughlin wouldn't buy my furs. Man had the gall to send me clothing as a gift. As far as I'm concerned, he can take his gifts and float them down the river.
Have you tried farming? From the looks of it around here, I'd say it'd be quite advantageous.
What would I farm with? Everybody around here is dependent on the Hudson's Bay Company. When a settler first arrives, McLaughlin loans them enough grain to get them through the winter or until their crop comes in. And he'll loan you 2 cows. But he reserves the right to take the calves at any time.
Then why don't you buy cattle?
That's just it. McLaughlin won't sell. You see, he really doesn't want anybody settling around here. There's another fact you can take back to Andy and you can...
I know. Quote you on it. Mr. Young, suppose I had a solution to your problem. Do you think the others might want to take part?
Depends on what it is.
Why don't you see if you can gather some of the settlers together at the mission tomorrow night? We can talk about it.
We'll see, Lieutenant Slakeland. We'll see.
Sipping them grips, sipping them grips from a little bitty still. You doggone bet you're gonna get your fill. Sipping them grips from a little bitty still. Doing what I wanna do, I don't wanna do it this way. Doing what
Gentlemen, it appears we're all here at the exception of you and Young.
We'll find out.
Reverend Lee, Mr. Edwards.
Since Mr. Young is not present, I'd like to know just what the Temperance Society is doing to stop him from building his distillery.
I'll tell you what's being done. Nothing. There ain't a thing you or any of you can do. I got as much right to make a living around here as anybody else, and I intend on doing it.
Mr. Young, you know as well as I there's a law against selling intoxicants to the Indians.
Law, that's a laugh. The only law around here is McLaughlin, and I don't take kindly to anything he says.
Well, then we must appeal to your moral or spiritual convictions. Selling alcohol to Indians is downright sacrilegious.
Sacrilege? Moral convictions? Y'all are a fine bunch to talk. There's not a one of you wouldn't sell his own mother down the river before he go against McLaughlin.
That's what I want to sell my mother for.
Come on, listen to me. We didn't call this meeting to discuss you and Young's distillery.
Then just why are we here?
Yeah, what, Jason? Come on, it's getting late.
Well, I can explain. I'm Lieutenant William Slacum of the United States Navy. President Jackson sent me to these parts to obtain specific information about the inhabitants of this area.
So what's that got to do with me this evening? I told you all about my family the other night.
Yes.
So did I.
What's this all about?
All right, I'll make it brief. When I talked to a number of you, there seemed to be a growing feeling that the Hudson's Bay Company controlled and owned you.
That's true, but there's nothing we can do about it.
He's right. If we go against the Hudson Bay Company or Dr. McLaughlin, we run the risk of him taking back the cattle he left us.
That's right. And Louis the Botes family cannot afford to go without milk.
That's just my point. You won't have to.
Oh, come on, Slaker. You've been at sea too long. McLaughlin owns the cattle, and he can take them away with the offspring any time he wishes.
Not if you own the cattle.
What? How are we going to do that?
McLaughlin won't sell.
McLaughlin, he's not such a bad man. He helped me, but I have to work 8,000 miles.
If McLaughlin won't sell you the cattle, then it's up to you to find someone who will.
I don't see what you're getting at.
I think you will, Mr. Young. I am willing to give any of you free passage aboard my ship, the Lorient, to California, where you can buy your cattle and then herd them north back to the Willamette Valley.
Lieutenant, you've never been over those mountains. Now, I have. And with a cow or two, it's just mighty rough going. With a herd, I just don't believe it can be done.
It's the only way you'll no longer be dependent on the Hudson's Bay Company.
I like the sound of that, monsieur. But what if McLaughlin does not like our quest for independence? What if he decides to cut us off from supplies and trading as a farm, huh?
That's a chance you'll have to take.
Well, that is easy for you to say, monsieur. You do not have a wife or a farm or a family.
But you can't go on living in fear of McLaughlin and remain as indentured servants.
Now, he's right about that. I say we take him up on it.
I'm in.
Hold on, we can't all go.
That's right. I can't get away. My wife she's expecting.
Louis. Right, I can't get away either. What about us?
What about
Then I suggest that you form a committee to sail down to California, buy the cattle, and then herd them back.
That sounds like a good idea. And I know just the man to lead this group of...
Why, thank you, but I have to check with my wife first.
Louis the Bote recommends that we get you and Young to lead and head a newly formed Cattlemen's Association. He is the only man with strength of will enough to stand up to McLaughlin, huh?
Yeah, he's made the trip before. What do you say?
Hey, you want to do it for us, you and Young?
All right, I'll do it.
And Mr. Young, about your distillery.
Yes, Reverend Lee?
The Temperance Society, that's most of the settlers in the valley, Americans and French Canadians. We want to buy you out. We've taken up a collection. I've got $60 here.
$60? Okay, take a man's cash money. You women folks and young'uns need it. All right, sir, about a public opinion. As for now, my manufacturing enterprise will shut up shop. Besides, I only started it to bedevil McLaughlin, and I think we just found a whole lot better way to do that.
Yeah.